After hitting record highs in the first 4 days last week, Wall Street stocks and cryptos crashed on Friday, while October trading started with a bang after across-the-board positive moves. Only a few handful of assets closed in the green last week. On Friday, US President Donald Trump imposed a 100% tariffs on China starting from November 1st. The fears of a global disruption in trade sent Wall Street stocks tumbling, wiping out $1.65 trillion in market value. First, let's take a look at how broader assets traded last month. Safe haven demand pushed gold to become a big winner, with the yellow metal crossing $4,000 for the first time ever and closing out with 3.2% gains last week. After a record-breaking run earlier last week, a bloodbath on Friday crushed risk assets. In cryptos, the story was similar. About a record $20 billion were liquidated in the crypto market on Friday. That weighted on Bitcoin to crash about 10% to below the 111,000 mark from fresh record highs of above $125,000 on Monday. The coming week is predicted to be broadly similar. Now turning to Asia-Pacific stock markets, benchmarks rose barring the Australian index. The hit to Wall Street stocks came after Trump imposed 100% tariffs on China from November 1st. But Asian indices had already closed on Friday. Japanese benchmark Nikkei hit a record high, gaining over 5% to top the Asian chart. The recovery in Indian stocks was a welcome sign, with the Sensex up about 1.6%. The Shanghai benchmark closed in the green with modest gains. Australia was the only exception in the region, with a modest 0.3% loss for the last week. In the Americas, Wall Street stocks lost over $1.65 trillion on renewed trade war fears on Friday. This after hitting fresh record highs earlier last week. US stocks suffered their worst sell-off in 6 months before closing out for an extended holiday on Monday. The S&P 500 wiped out its weekly advance after tumbling 2.7%, its worst day since April 10th. 10 of the 11 sectors in the S&P 500 traded lower, led by declines in technology shares. The tech-heavy Nasdaq 100 sank 3.5%. Canadian and Brazilian stocks too tumbled about 2% last week, with the losses coming mainly on Friday. Across the Atlantic, European stocks fell last week, with the majority of the losses coming on Friday. UK's FTSE and German DAX indices fell nearly 1%, while France slipped about 2%. On the other hand, South African index showed modest gains with a nearly 0.2% rise.